Welcome to Atypical, an offbeat take on news in the addiction recovery field. I'm co-host Mary Crocker-Cook from the San Jose City College Alcohol and Drug Studies program. Be sure and subscribe.
And I'm co-host Gary Montreza, Executive Director of Pathway Society in San Jose.
Our purpose is to both educate and entertain with recent news stories about the addiction field. We've set our podcast up in sections that include drugs, news, an ethics challenge, and prevention.
In fact, let's start with our first section, why would you use that to get high? But before we get high, section, we want to go into our rap names.
Oh!
Because we said we're going to give our rap names.
We did say that.
And so we took thousands of requests, letters, calls, and they crowded out all the legal notices from everyone that we've ever talked about in this program.
We appreciate that.
And we had all kinds of very interesting names. Some we cannot repeat on the air. And most of them were pretty positive.
Yeah.
Some were kind of negative toward me.
Oh,
which is okay. So, should I tell you? You're going to tell me your name?
I'm going to go with the one you picked out, which I think is perfect, called MC Squared.
I think it's MC Squared.
I think MC Squared is a great rap name for me.
Yeah, I think that's anything to do with mass and light. The speed of light is perfect. You know what I mean? Mass and the speed of light. So all that's all good. So, I think I'm going with Gmo.
Oh, that's great.
It's okay.
That's a great rap name for you.
People don't like it, please write. Call our nerve center for the podcast. Let them know your feedback if that doesn't work for you. Gmo.
I think Gmo is great.
Gmo's okay.
Yeah.
It's about as best I can do. So, that's clean, right?
Uh-huh.
So, on to our section.
Okay.
What we're going to do. We're going to talk about our rap names, and then why would you use that to get high?
Okay.
I-dosing.
I don't even know what that is.
It's not your I. It's not your iPhone. It's just I.
Uh-huh.
I guess me dosing. Here's what it says. How teenagers are getting, quote, digitally high from music they download from the internet.
Okay.
Does that sound interesting to you?
I don't understand how that would work.
I don't either, because I-dosing, really, in a regard, we can use our podcasts as an example, where our podcasts do provoke violent reactions in people.
Violent reactions.
Against their computers, all kinds of different things, attorney letters, lawsuits. So, anyway, let's talk about I-dosing, and I'm not sure this is real. I don't think it's real.
Okay.
But nonetheless, kids putting on their headphones, and there's numerous videos on YouTube. I don't know if you've checked any out about kids freaking out because they're, quote, I-dosing on music. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
As if the idea is this is a craze that's going on. I don't know if it's a craze now. It's some years back. Digital drugs using to change their brain much in the same way that real narcotics change their brain.
Okay.
So that's kind of curious.
That is curious.
The idea is you're listening to some type of drone-like music, and it's going to get you high, and it takes you out of reality. And I put here as a note to myself, it just keeps them stupid.
Oh.
But nonetheless, drone-like sounds, that could be a parent talking, that could be me talking, it could be
my students may have used the word drone on occasion.
There's nothing about that. So the idea is this is really a popular thing now with a lot of teens here locally. Okay. Supposedly it has some of the same feelings one might have with ecstasy or cannabis. Yeah. And here's where it gets kind of funny is it's YouTube, right?
Right.
So people monetize things on YouTube.
Right.
So the idea is, I think there's something else behind this I-dosing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to call it a scam. But
all right.
But here's one of the guys that's on YouTube. He's called Shroom.
Okay.
Quote.
A fine citizen. I can
just listen to this. At the beginning, I began to see some blinking light while eyes closed. Then the pitch went up, and I began to feel that I'm sinking into my chair. As the pitch went down, I began to feel confident and very relaxed. And I don't want to stand up from my chair, and I don't want to say any words. Wow.
Oh.
Okay, we have music. Cue the music. Scary music. Not everyone takes dosing seriously, of course. I'm one of them, and I suggest you don't either.
But I'd be a devil's advocate on that because
Right. Yeah.
we use sound therapy for all kinds of things.
Sure.
And I'm thinking they may have stumbled on some ways to kind of engage your brain waves. They don't necessarily know they're doing it from a scientific point of view.
Yeah.
But they might be able to mess with their heads a little bit.
I figured as a thespian and a singer, you would come up with something like this, so I'm prepared.
Oh, no!
I'm prepared.
You're going to rebut.
I'm leading with research.
How rude!
I got it right here. But we'll wait. So let me ask you this.
Okay.
What kind of eye dosing do you think would happen if you listened to Neil Diamond?
Oh, I think I might go to sleep, quite honestly.
You might, okay. So Milli Vanilli, maybe I'm just thinking another one might be. But anyway, I don't think there's much to this, but of course in Oklahoma, one of the bastions of clear rational thinking, the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs has issued a warning that children should not do it.
Wow.
This reminds me of Dancing Wildly.
Dancing Wildly.
That's the work of the devil. So,
no, the work of the devil is playing your records backwards.
Backwards, okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, this is in Oklahoma. They issued a warning that children should not do it. Now, I'll hold off as to why that's the case, but they want to get some awareness for kids and parents about this, and they have to take some action, blah, blah, blah. Here's the serious aspect. Another concern is that many of these eye dosing sites lure visitors to actual drug and paraphernalia sites. So there, I think
that's the marketing you were talking about.
We got something to worry about.
Okay.
And here's someone talking from the Mustang Public Schools communication officer. This is Mustang in Oklahoma. We had never come across anything like this, and anything that is going to cause these physiological effects in a student that cause us concern. Now, there's no physiological effects that occur going on. But anyway, some of the eye dosing tracks have scared people. Names such as Gates of Hades, Hand of God.
Oh, okay.
Why would that scare anyone? Anyway, these things are 10 minutes long. It's a lot of different types of synthesized music, etc., and different tones and stuff like that. The idea is, that this is not unusual. This is not unusual at all. The question is, does it get people high?
That's a good question.
It doesn't get people high, but it does alter your mood.
Okay.
We do know that
music does.
Can alter your mood. And so to talk about the research, we do know from the research that the tempo, the beats per minute,
right,
the rhythm, the key, major, minor, the temperament, Eastern, Western, the volume, intensity, lyrics, can all have an influence on a person's mood. So we'll give you that. We'll give you that part.
All right.
And I'll give you also the part that, if you're at a concert and the music's going,
right,
and you're all moving together, you have this sympathetic vibration with everyone around you, and the music just happens to be at a tempo that resonates with your elevated heart rate at about maybe 110, 120 beats.
Okay.
We got ourselves a Whitney Houston, not Whitney Houston. Who was the other person? I'm old. What's that gal's name?
What's wrong with Whitney Houston?
What's the gal's name? The blonde gal.
Madonna?
Oh, okay, that'll work.
Okay.
Madonna works. Everyone's like moving together.
Okay.
Britney Spears.
Britney Spears.
So there's no question that, we know, slime molds put together will start resonating together as well.
Yes, they will.
Maybe a lot of these kids are like slime molds. And they get together and listen to this music. And they kind of resonate together. But trust me, kids are not getting high.
They're not getting high from eye dosing. Okay, all right. Well, every once in a while we have to check these things out, right? Because we get, alerts about, weird things people use.
They do use it. I mean,
all right.
I think it's more peer pressure. And you look at these things as kids, scrunching their face. Oh my gosh! And they're listening to something and they're supposedly getting high.
Well, it's also the power of suggestion.
Yeah, like I said, it could have been.
That's why it was more fun to listen to, I'm thinking of Pink Floyd album with people.
Exactly.
Right.
But in headphones versus not headphones is a different experience too.
Right. That's true.
Music. You perceive music in a different way, and like I said, Our podcasts could do the same thing. We can elicit all kinds
So
of
people could be
responses.
eye-dosing right now
they could be
out there
eye-dosing,
listening to us.
going, oh my God, who are these people?
We could be responsible for eye-dosing
Cut them
people.
off.
Okay. Well, that was very interesting. But let's shift into our next section, news and addiction, with a focus on the ADA. Now, I came across this, Garrett, and this is interesting to me. I hope it'll be interesting to you. It's
Let me eye-dose on that.
Yeah, well, exactly. We'll all do that together. How the Americans with Disabilities Act could change the way the nation's jails and prisons treat addiction.
Oh, boy.
And I thought this was an interesting thing, and I think it'll also tap into your social justice warrior part of you. Okay.
Nice.
So before Jeffrey Pease got on methadone, his addiction to heroin and oxycodone nearly destroyed him. He lost his home, his job, custody of his son, his driver's license. So even after he began to rebuild his life, he relied on his parents to drive him to a methadone clinic for his daily dose. One day, last July, his mother was unexpectedly unavailable, and desperate not to relapse, he drove himself. En route, he was pulled over for going 6 miles above the speed limit and charged with driving on a suspended or revoked license, which carries at least 60 days in jail. So, Hess began staring down the day he would plead guilty and, as mandated by the rules of jail in Essex County, Massachusetts, stop taking the addiction drug that saved his life. Most jails and prisons around the country forbid methadone and a newer addiction medication, buprenorphine, even when legitimately prescribed, on the grounds that they pose safety and security concern, because people are frequently smuggling these drugs into facilities, which are then sold and then traded amongst the prisoners. So Pest worried that he went through the withdrawal from methadone in jail, and he was afraid someone would offer him drugs and he wouldn't be able to refuse. So he turned to the courts for a solution and sued the Essex County Sheriff on grounds his addiction was a disability, and denying him treatment was a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act, as well as cruel and unusual punishment. Quote, "I'm terrified if I'm unable to remain on my medication," he said in court papers, "I will lose control of my addiction, I'll relapse, overdose, and die."
Yeah.
So in November, a federal judge in Massachusetts sided with Pesk in what attorneys describe as the very first ruling of its kind.
Incredible.
So this case has put Pest at the center of a legal debate that could change how people recovering from opioid addictions are treated in jails and prisons. Right now, there's at least 4 cases nationwide where addicts are claiming that to deny them their medication amounts to discrimination based on their disability. So there's starting to be some traction with lawyers and advocates. In fact, there's a lawsuit in Maine brought by the state's chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union that was settled in September when the jail agreed to provide the plaintiff with access to buprenorphine, and then they promptly filed another claim on behalf of another woman in similar circumstances. And I know, Gary, that it is probably because of your membership in the ACLU. GMO. It is your membership, as you told us last week, in the ACLU.
Card carrying.
That is your financial contribution has helped with this, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Support our people. So far, these rulings have been narrow. They pertain only to the individuals who sued, but every time a prison or jail agrees they're going to do this, it makes it harder for other prisons to say it's impossible. Did you know this, that in the 2 weeks after release, most prisoners are 12 times more likely to die and 120 times more likely to die of an overdose than the general population. Forced abstinence behind bars means they're released with lower tolerance, with an increased urge to use. So in Rhode Island, there's a program to provide addiction medication in the state's prisons and jails, and it's actually reduced the overdose by recently incarcerated by more than 60%.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Okay, so yet of thousands of jails around the country, only 30 provide methadone and buprenorphine to people incarcerated there. Now, the argument against it: prescribing these medications behind bars poses a risk of prisoners selling them to other people. Essex County Sheriff Kevin Coppinger, who oversees the jail where Pesk is slated to serve his time, said Suboxone is the most common contraband in his facility. Prisoners and visitors have tried to smuggle it inside dentures, mail, and waistbands. Okay, I think dentures is pretty gross. Okay, all right. He said if these illicit medications get to an inmate who shouldn't have them and they overdose, well, then shame on me, Coppinger says. But anyway, the National Sheriff Association did recently publish a resource guide arguing that there should be more access to buprenorphine and methadone. So anyway,
can you OD on Suboxone?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think you can. I think that's one of the points of taking it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but they may take it with something else.
Sure.
Like, so if you take it with, I believe if you take it with like a benzodiazepine, like Xanax, something like that, that could perhaps do you in. So now Coppinger is faced with a raft of logistical issues on how to manage opening a federally licensed methadone clinic on site at the jail. So right now they're having to take Paskoff to an outside clinic for his daily dose, but that means they got to send 2 correctional officers in a transport van off-site several hours a day, which is not practical when you're looking at hundreds of inmates that could potentially be treated. So anyway.
You know, I will say, can I say something?
Please do.
Okay, it's about time that the criminal justice system has to deal with what is obvious to most of us. I mean, we've been criminalizing folks with mental health and substance use disorders and using criminal justice determinants in how we treat them when it really should be a medical issue.
Absolutely.
No question.
Absolutely. Yeah. They said buprenorphine, which unlike methadone can be administered at the jail, will require intense supervision to prevent prisoners from selling and giving their meds to others. Some facilities have done post-oath mouth checks, requiring inmates to place their hands on a desk for several minutes, eat crackers and drink water after they take their dose.
Okay.
And then, you know, they've done that with mental health for ever.
Sounds like meals at my house, actually.
That's what happened to your house?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
What's your problem? What's the problem?
What's the problem with that?
No problem.
Okay. So anyway, I was encouraged by this because, like you said, you know, we need to treat it like an illness and any other medication. They are allowed to have their medication.
Yeah, and we've been violating their civil rights for years.
Exactly.
I mean, even how people get into the system has typically been being demanded.
Or mandated to treat. Yeah.
And there's some argument there that it can be a good thing, but there has to be a balance.
Right.
You know, it's first and foremost a medical issue. You know.
Yeah.
So it's now in the realm of medical necessity versus criminal justice necessity.
Right.
Which is great.
Okay.
That's wonderful.
So I think it's a great use of the ADA. I'm happy about that. And basically, the ADA does say that someone currently using drugs illegally, though, is not considered an individual with disability. That term applies to a person in recovery. So the law states that even current users can't be denied health care. So the issue, one of the reasons they've been able to struggle around this interpretation, right?
You might want to read that again because it's so stupid.
It is incredibly stupid.
Sorry, I just was eye-dosing and I said... I visualized the word stupid.
Oh, you probably felt it too. Okay.
I felt it.
Okay, the ADA does say someone currently using drugs illegally is not considered an individual with a disability. That term generally applies to people in recovery. But it also says current users can't be denied health care.
Well, back in the 80s, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Sure.
There you go. So it still hasn't been tested in court, so we'll see.
Well, if it is tested, the ADA is not going to, on that clause, it's not going to fare well.
Well, it does say, what about those with a long-standing addiction who arrive with no prescription but could benefit from the medications? The law is not clear whether the ADA would apply to them either, so they're going to have to look at it on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, well, it needs to be updated to this current era, probably.
Yeah.
I suspect, but wow.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating article, and we could spend hours.
I know. I was really intrigued by it.
Dosing that.
But while I was looking at that, I came across one that we have not had time to get to because we've had so many other pressing releasing news.
She's going off script.
I am. It's called Slang Terms and Code Words, a reference for law enforcement personnel. Now, Gary, I could not resist this. Okay.
Is this the test?
Apparently, the DEA intelligence report contains new updated information on slang terms and code words from a variety of law enforcement and open source sources. It was published in May of 2017, and it's designed as a ready reference for law enforcement personnel confronted with controlled substances, designer drugs, synthetic compounds, measurements, location, weapons, other parts of the drug trade.
Really?
So anyway, it is alphabetically ordered, which is quite helpful, with new additions in the italic text, and it has categories in English and foreign language derivations. Now, I think it will be important to start educating our listeners about new slang terms for drugs so they don't get caught unawares and someone offers them something like animal cookies and they accidentally pop some hydroponic marijuana cookies in their mouth because they thought they were actually animal cookies.
Are they the frosted ones or are they
No, there's the regular one. So anyway, well, because animal cookies obviously is a slang term for hydroponic marijuana. So what we want to do, I suggest we start working in slang terms whenever we're covering specific drugs.
No kidding.
So our listeners can be more informed consumers.
Give me another one. That was a good one.
Okay, well, yeah, I do have another one. Let me take a little peekaroo here, because there's all kinds of interesting slang. We could use things like, oh, okay, all right. Guess what breakfast of champions is?
It's not Wheaties.
No, it is crack cocaine. Okay. So like hot cakes. Someone could offer you some hot cakes. And you might think you're having some pancakes and you're getting some crack cocaine.
Ooh.
That's bad.
So it's another name for it.
Yeah. Okay. Another name for crack? Oh, how about East Side Player? Eye opener.
East Side Player.
Okay. Jelly beans. Okay.
Wow.
Kryptonite.
That puts Reagan in a whole new
Right. Kryptonite. Yeah. So I think we need to.
There's regional names, right? Most of those are
These are just names? These are names of the DEA. Apparently, it's all over the country.
You think someone with our hardened backgrounds,
I know,
MC squared and GMO would know?
We would know all of these.
But we don't.
Okay, because there's just so many of them.
Wow.
So I'm assuming our listeners don't know all of them either.
I don't either. That's pages and pages.
It is. So we're gonna. But every time I'm thinking we're
gonna have to throw.
We highlight a particular
100 years of material here.
I know.
Do they have a coloring book for it? I mean, that would be helpful for me.
Well, I'm just saying, we got all kinds of stuff we could be teaching them here, and we're not doing our job if we don't. So, in the future, when we're covering particular drugs, I think we should take a minute to make sure we pull in a few of these.
We will pull in some
very
of those.
Important slang terminology.
You heard it here first.
That's
time.
Right.
We're all going to learn together.
That's right, because we don't want our listeners caught off guard and ordering hotcakes and getting them some crack cocaine.
No.
We don't want that.
All right, well, is it time to switch?
It is.
Guys, off of all those names.
Wow, I know.
East Side Player. Is that what that was? Oh, man. There's a lot of East Sides in the world. So,
yeah.
Okay, anyhow, let's switch over to it's time for our ethics challenge.
Okay.
Addiction counselors
I love this.
acting badly.
Love it.
If you are an addiction counselor or you know and love one, get out your CCAP ethics
I'm doing
code
it right now
to follow along. We have a link on our atypical.podbean.com link.
Okay.
Mary, I'll read this story, and you have to identify the ethics codes or codes violated.
I'm ready. I got them out.
There's two of them. There's two stories.
Okay.
So one is just hold on to your slang. We need to have a slang term for this. In a hearing about addiction treatment, companies' sketchy advertising practices, CEOs ask for more regulation. So there's a hearing about, the stuff we talk about within
right.
And all these really weird practices.
Okay.
Now the CEOs that are running some of these larger treatment facilities want regulation.
They do?
Oh, yeah.
How incredibly weird is that?
Really.
Okay.
And guess why?
Why?
It's cutting into their profits.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's really, usually what would motivate a CEO.
I had to throw it in.
I know you did. Yeah.
This is probably not quite a year ago. Addiction treatment industry's practices have come under a lot of scrutiny as of late, mostly on this program. Based on all the letters we get. But some of them are admitting that their business practices are not what they should be.
Okay.
And even some of the ones that have had sketchy practices are now suggesting they're kosher. Their own word. It's all
my
kosher.
goodness.
It's all good. So here's a quote. We support the committee's efforts to clean up the practices that are harming us all, said Marvin Ventrell. We'll look for the letters in the mail.
Okay.
He's the executive director of the National Association of Addiction Treatment Providers. he noted that groups normally lobby for less oversight.
That's right.
But now they're offering, they want more
oversight.
Because
okay.
it really is the Wild West out there. As you know, if you listen to this program,
it's pretty off the hook out there.
It's off the hook Wild West. So, or as we like to say, it's East Side. What is it, East Side crazy? No, I don't know what it is. Okay, so I do think we need federal intervention. Wow.
That's
mind blowing.
They're asking for government help. Okay.
That is from the American Addiction Centers, which they are some folks who've had some interesting. They've had an interesting past as well.
Yes, they have.
But they're now asking for oversight. So they met. They're talking about some of these different practices. How should I go into this? This hearing focused on call centers, for example, which we've talked about, which refer callers to treatment facilities in which people are frequently find by searching online.
Right, right. The 1-800 numbers.
Yeah, those amorphous. You don't know if it's a center. It's just a portal, right?
Right. And
news investigations have found, of course, and as have us here at Atypical podcast.
In our investigative journalism.
Our investigation department, which is another closet over, have found unscrupulous call centers. Can you imagine? Referring patients to shoddy facilities, the ones that sometimes don't even exist, especially patients with private insurance.
They would be like,
they have no idea.
Catnip,
So a journalist, Kat Ferguson, found that companies involved in the care of one call center alone billed this person, one person in particular, her insurance for more than $3,600. Guess what it was for?
Urine?
A urine test.
A urine test. How did I know that?
One urine test.
Liquid gold. I think we've even discussed that.
Yeah, we had some former NFL players that we talked about.
Yeah.
Which Medicare reimburses, of course, for less than $80 a day or for a sample, but apparently this person was very special. So this is,
wow.
And this poor person was billed, or their insurance, $75,000 for 11 days.
For 11 days, $75,000.
So now finally people are saying, hey, there's a right to know what they're getting into when they call these folks, represented from Republican from Oregon. I don't like to mention the R's, but I did. A person from Oregon.
Okay.
So some witnesses at the hearing also made additional attestations, and that weren't very pleasant. But here's the National Association of Addiction Treatment Providers updated its code of ethics in December.
Okay.
This last December, and kicked out dozens of members since.
Wow.
So they're kind of
starting to police themselves a little bit. Nice.
And as you know, AAC is a company headed by one of the other witnesses that was part of this case or this hearing.
Yeah.
And was one of those centers that started paying their call workers salaries because they used to pay them based on commission.
Oh, commission.
So
that's sleazy.
It's called a self-own.
That is
when you're at a place and there's a hearing and you're one of the folks they're kind of talking about, and then you automatically quickly change your practices. It's called a self-own. So
got it.
I'm not sure what to think about this.
I think it's in the right direction.
It's in the right direction, and the goal is to really educate folks and not have this inner dealing between treatment centers and other third-party businesses.
Exactly.
That have nothing to do with your care.
Exactly. Okay, well, if we look at our code here, I'll tell you what jumped right out of me as Principle 1 conduct, advertising, marketing, promoting programs in a false and misleading manner. Mm-hmm. That was pretty obvious
what
to that one.
What's misleading about $3,600 urine test?
Well, it's like, we can help you. I've seen those commercials too. Like, if you're ever home during the day.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah, they've got that sad music.
Yeah.
And the guy comes on wearing a lab coat, pretending he's a medical professional holding a clipboard and saying, we can help you. You don't have to do this alone.
It's a disease.
And then you look up and it has a disclaimer at the top that says, private insurance only.
That's right. Ka-ching.
Ching, ching.
Is there a street name for that? No, there should be. So you want another one?
Okay, let's do it.
This one I wrote at the top of it, chilling.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why chilling. Facebook to require treatment centers to obtain certification from monitoring firms.
Oh, I heard about this.
How does it sound to you? It's just on its face. What's it sound like? They're going to require that treatment centers have certification, and there'll be this monitoring firm
to try to make them legit. I heard Bing did this week too.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Tell me.
This is effective immediately. This is not too long ago. Facebook's going to require a third-party company to monitor. It's called Legit Script.
Okay.
Before being approved to advertise in-person addiction treatment services in the United States. So that sounds kind of cool, doesn't it? I mean,
well, they want to make sure your treatment center is legitimate?
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So to advertise on any Facebook property, so it's Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, Audience Network, Atypical Podcast.
If they'd like to,
Yeah. And Google and AdWords and all that other stuff. It's all linked together. So Legit Script will review the facility's background, qualifications, compliance with state laws, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
I don't know how I feel about this, but
it worries you. I could tell by your little.
Yeah,
your brow is furrowed.
It's
yeah,
furrowed.
Tell me.
Yeah, GMO
looks furrowed.
So there's 15 requirements they have to meet to earn certification.
Okay.
But here's what they have to say before I douse this flame.
Okay.
Today's announcement is the next step in our efforts to support our community on Facebook in response to rising addiction rates in the U.S.
Oh.
Isn't that just
That's lovely. Facebook does love to help.
Warm the cockles of your heart.
They do. They love to help.
Folds of your heart. Gets all warm in there. We're expanding our policies to restrict ads for drug and alcohol addiction treatment centers because when facing addiction, people should be able to avoid scams and predatory behavior as they find support for themselves and loved ones in need.
Okay.
Predatory behavior such as having all of your personal information and using it with all kinds of other advertising, folks. Here's the thing, folks. Facebook has everything on you. If you're on Facebook and if you're a person who's admitting to having an addiction or substance use disorder issue, I already question whether that information is safe.
Oh, good point.
So here they have all that information on you.
Oh.
And so maybe they're not going to have these folks, these centers advertise.
Okay.
But maybe there's going to be other types of advertising that's targeted toward you. But the really scary thing is, what if there's a breach of their security and that information gets out, personal information about you?
Right.
And they have a profile of you that says maybe XYZ.
Yeah, well, it's just like the other day I was going to buy this, I wanted to buy this dress on the catalog.
Huh?
And then the same dress kept popping up over and over and over.
All the time.
All the time.
So what if
I start looking, hey, I'd like to have some addiction treatment.
And it says,
she must want addiction treatment.
She must be, to me, it's.
I see what you're worrying about. Okay.
That's a legitimate worry, and I really trust Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, who doesn't?
Who doesn't
trust Mark?
He's such a warm.
Wants to change the whole world.
Warm dude. So, Facebook, in partnership with them, this Legit Script, they're going to make a series of moves to try to address the opioid epidemic. Right.
Okay.
Because Congress can't, I guess. So, SAMHSA's involved here as well. A national crisis hotline. They want to try and have a module that links people together. But so how do we look at this as an ethics challenge?
Well, how would we look at that? I mean, I think in some ways, what they're trying to do is avoid an ethics challenge, because the ethics challenge would be misrepresenting the status or type of credentials or misleading advertising. Those are the ethics challenges. So they're trying to get around that, or at least address it. Right. Which is it's a worthy goal. It's a worthy goal. But obviously I'm a bit, Yeah, a little leery anytime you start to put the Facebook involved.
I said they collect all these data.
Yeah.
So they have you. They got you.
Yeah, they do.
So I don't know. I'm be careful, folks.
Yeah.
Remember, online life is like the half-life of plutonium. So it's going to be around a long time.
I'm going to confess one of my more paranoid thoughts.
Oh, no.
That the reason I do not get my, those ancestry kits.
Yes.
I'm paranoid about it. That then somewhere there's in this database
That's
They'll
true.
be on my genetic profile.
Well,
As though anybody would want my genetic profile.
well, if I was reading between the lines when you told me earlier about this, I was thinking maybe you didn't want to do that because you still want the option to be able to commit a crime at some point in life, to go on a crime spree. And if they have your stuff,
I'm toast.
you can't do it.
You're right.
You're done. You're cooked.
Or I just want to remake me.
You just want, if you want to just drop out, you can't.
I want to go off the grid.
If you want to go off the grid, they're going to find you. So,
okay, well.
MC squared off the grid.
Yeah, MC squared.
She's already off the hook.
That's so true. Off the grid. Well, okay, well, thank you for sharing that. I know, like I said, Bing made the same announcement this week, so I guess they're all in cahoots.
It's a bit chilling to me, but...
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I think that the intent is worthy.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I agree.
Okay, well, now we get to shift our next session, which is an interesting article about prevention. And I thought this was kind of a cool thing I came across. It's about a pro wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I love to do the articles in particular about athletics because that is so not me. Anyway, the pro wrestler actually is part of a sobriety documentary. So it's a harm reduction issue. Basically, he says, finding a few action figures of himself and propping them up on the table, he was signing for autographs. Former world heavyweight champion Justin Credible visited 10 Sparks as part of a documentary. And it talks about...
Wait a minute.
His name is Justin Credible.
Okay, hold on. Did you say professional wrestling?
He is.
You mean like the folks that are on the TV with, body slams
heavyweight
and stuff?
champion.
Oh, that's not real, man.
Okay, stop. You might be. Anyway.
It's not.
Well, he says this whole thing is just a journey of my life and career. What I want, where I went to, and where I am today. And he says it's a journey of a man navigating his way through addiction, family problems, through the industry of pro wrestling.
Okay.
And so basically, apparently, this guy is big enough to have action figures.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have an action figure about me, do you?
Maybe Gumby.
Justin and Gumby. That's not bad. That's funny.
People don't know who Gumby is anymore, but that's all right.
Well, apparently, Polaco says he went to treatment for alcohol abuse in 2017, and he got a lot of support. And so some people reached out to him and said, can we make a documentary about your recovery? So it's scheduled to come out this winter, and it's being filmed. And I don't know. Apparently, he's been in wrestling since the 1990s. He's been with World Wrestling Entertainment, 2 stints in the promotion twice. Once he was Aldo Montoya with the then World Wrestling Federation and Extreme Championship Wrestling.
Well, so
there you go.
I think it's really cool because he's in a position where a lot of people get to see him and he gets to bring this positive message of how to navigate these things.
Yeah. So he says, we're not trying to create a wrestling documentary. We're trying to record his recovery.
Yeah.
And we hope, more than anything, his redemption. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's kind of a cool little prevention thing. Said he's had stardom, he's had success, he's had failures. So it's kind of nice to see how he's doing despite all of his setbacks.
I think it's lovely because it reaches a lot of people that enjoy. When I was a kid, it used to be called big time wrestling. We used to watch it. We knew it was fake, but apparently some people believe it's real. But it doesn't really matter if you think it's real or not because you're going to get help anyway. You're going to find...
Okay, better than help, you get action figures, Gary.
You get action figures.
I think recovering counselors should have action figures. Where are our action figures?
What does it look like?
Okay, they all have to have tattoos.
I just had a really bad thought here.
What?
We talk about sports and athletics, right? You talk about folks that are in football and baseball. And, a friend I went to high school with lost his life to drugs, and he was a really a Golden Glove player.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty hardcore. So really talented guy. But I always thought about, what about motorsports?
Yeah.
What about these other sports that involve, high speeds?
Like bicycling?
Well, maybe you'll cycle. We know they dope. We know they dope.
Yeah.
They do.
Okay, I know they do.
They do, yeah. Not all of them, but some of them.
Mm-hmm.
But what about like NASCAR or F1, Formula One?
Yeah, Formula One.
I wonder.
What are you wondering? Like, are they ever addicts? Is that what you're wondering?
Yeah, they must be.
Well,
But how do they deal with it?
they like stimulation and speed.
Oh, absolutely.
So I would think they'd like a little cocaine now and then.
Yeah, they're probably. How do you do 24 hours at Le Mans, for example?
Good point.
I mean, you have another driver, but how do you? Geez, I don't know.
Inquiring minds want to know.
I want to know.
Okay, we'll have to let our investigative journalist department.
We never.
take a look at that.
We will. We'll switch it over to them.
Okay, but I want to get back to the action figures at some point, Gary, because I think this is a new market right here. Okay, recovery action figures.
I just think they're going to be little pieces of Play-Doh or something.
No.
What's that?
We'll have to. I'm going to noodle on this idea some more.
Maybe we could bring pet rocks back. I could be a pet rock.
We could paint people on it. Okay.
We could.
All right.
Well, all right. So is that it? That's the one.
That's it.
That's a really cool.
That is kind of cool.
I like that. I like the things that make me happy. So, well, okay, we're happy, but now we've come to the last section.
Okay.
Of the day, pretty much humility check moment.
Yay! Humility check moment.
So this section reminds us not to take ourselves too seriously. A key to burnout prevention: humility. And so.
What do you think?
Well, last week, first, let me see your hands.
Do I have all of my digits?
There's 10. Okay, we're good there, right there. If you listened to last week's program, you understand there was a harmless,
battery encasement.
I'm not sure how to even describe it. What required just a little bit of patience ended up
requiring a drill.
And a lot of smoke. I just see like burning plastic and pieces flying and unprotected eyes and getting shards of plastic in your eyes. And your cat's looking at you going, these humans.
Why doesn't she just use that other tool?
What's wrong with MC squared? Well, she's using something that was in that list. Yeah, so, okay, we're good. You're okay.
Cool. I got all my digits.
What happened this week? You break anything?
Okay, well, this week, okay, this is a different kind of ridiculous, Gary, but this is so me. All right. So I'm headed somewhere, and I need to have my large iced tea. I always have to have my large iced tea because it's got to be hydrated, Gary. It's important to be hydrated. All right, so I pull into Wendy's. Oh yeah, pull into Wendy's, and minding my business, and of course I'm a little woolly headed at times, so I get distracted by something, and I get. I go rolling up to the drive-through window, and I just sit there and I look at the lady. She looks at me. and she said, and I look at her, and she says, it's $3.42. I go, oh my God, you mean I have to pay you? And then I started laughing. I didn't know I had to pay you.
I thought you didn't even talk to her on the speaker yet.
Oh, no.
So I thought you just pulled up and you're looking going, okay, what do you want? I don't know, what do you want?
It just killed me. It did, because I think, okay, so then I had to hunt for my purse, I give her the money, and the poor woman. But literally, for the moment, I just totally forgot why I was there, Gary.
This is a deep sense of entitlement. Do you know who I am?
Obviously, I should not have to
MC
pay for my
squared.
Where's your manager?
Check out this ride.
What kind of this?
Check out this car. Don't mind the cat here.
So that was my ridiculousness, where I just totally forgot I had to pay, Gary.
And
there it is.
I thought it was that you just forgot to mention anything in the speaker, because I have done that. You just drive up and go, oh yeah, I forgot to thing. That was a long time ago.
Well, but the thing is, I rarely am the only customer. I don't know how you bag that. Normally, I've got to sit behind at least 3 people, which is why I get woolly-headed.
Which is why
if I could just roll on up.
Yeah, I rolled up. The one time I did that, I just rolled past it because there was no one in line. I'm like...
And then you just waited at the window?
Yeah. They're looking at me like, what are you thinking? I'm like... I'm at a restaurant
Obviously,
to get some food.
I'm here for food.
And they're like, no, you're here for a brain you'll never find. And, sorry, dude. But speaking of the past, should I go into...
Go, yeah. You tell me what you got.
This is one of my favorite stories that I think exemplifies what I'm really about.
Okay.
So if you grew up in a certain era in grade school, they had these things called weekly readers.
Weekly readers, okay.
Yeah, and it had all these stories about nature and the different things they wanted you to learn, and every week you'd read it. And I was terrified of reading out loud, terrified, because I was really bad at it.
Oh, okay.
But that's not what the story's about. So, because I got over that later in my life. But the story was about bald eagles.
Okay. Bald eagles.
Bald eagles.
Okay.
Bunch of facts about bald eagles. And so, I'm thinking, this is fascinating. I love bald eagles. This is really cool. These birds are really neat. And first thing comes up, the question from the weekly reader, the teacher asks, are bald eagles really bald?
Your hand
bolts
goes
up. Yes, they're really bald. And I'm not, every kid hurt their neck. They looked at me so fast. They looked at me so quickly that their necks, I think, were probably hurt, going, what's wrong with this man? What's wrong with this boy? They're really, so, because I wasn't able to read the whole thing.
And so you just sort of guessed.
Well, yeah, but why would they call him bald?
I completely agree with you,
Gary. So I just used this.
You used your intuition.
Yeah, that's right. With no information, which is a really bad thing to do. So later in my life, I realized, okay, you got an intuition. That's nice. Go find the information.
Find the information too.
See if it's going to kind of line up just a little bit and then move forward. But yeah, that was one of my great moments.
Yeah, it was.
I was so proud.
Yeah, I bet you look proud just telling that story.
When you're the first one, you're like, wow, yes.
I am the dude.
It's like, sit down.
I am the dude that knows about bald eagles.
Sit down.
And I don't need to do something pesky like read.
I don't, because I read so slowly. Is
that what it was? Yeah.
That's why I didn't like to read aloud,
Yeah.
So maybe it was just a strategy to try to cover up what I wasn't going to be able to do well. But I'll tell you, I'm
telling you, Gary, you were all over that.
They're not bald.
They're not bald. Just in case anyone out there has any questions.
Yeah, there's more, but
but you could do some. You can read. Okay, well, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you and hanging out with us. Again, this is MC Squared with Gmo.
And
we will look forward to meeting with you next week.
Take care.
Take care.